This is the Fifth Estate Winning Headlines, your media police post. In this segment, we summarize some of the headlines that you might have missed this morning. But we also take a look at the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Today is the 3rd of June 2019, and I am 2J.
I am Tuam.
And I am Miss K, your host. Again, in case you missed it, this is Winning Headlines. Welcome back to my personal ventriloquist. Don't think I don't see you there imitating me. Let's take a look at today's headlines. The Standard, public servants paid for a year to idle at home. The Star, we have no hidden cash, Ruto allies. And Daily Nation, storm over CBK's dirty money order. Let's start with these civil servants who are paid to stay at home.
Yeah, I'm really disappointed in the Standard. They missed the topic of the day. Everyone is talking about the CBK directive, so why are they talking about...
It's in the upper thirds. New notes debate rages on.
Not good enough.
Maybe the auditor was idle at home himself.
Maybe they're trying to be different.
Yeah, different, but also make people angry. They're trying to create
Whip
some
up
anger.
emotion.
Yeah.
So what do we say about these public civil servants who are paid to stay home? And it's not that they were paid to stay home for no reason. They were under investigation. So they actually don't know whether they have jobs or not.
Interesting. But I just think that in relation to what's happening in the news, I think this is just out of topic.
I think it needs to be tossed.
Okay. We have a 3-part criteria that we use to break down the headlines for you. And as that headline goes away, we ask ourselves 3 questions. Is it topical or speculative? Is it groundbreaking or is it repetitive? And finally, is it thoughtful or just plain lazy?
Just lazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Storm over CBK dirty money and we have no hidden cash, Ruto allies. I feel there's a connection here. There's an assumption that's being made.
We can join this too, huh?
Yeah. So maybe you can just give us some background just so we can ground ourselves in.
Yes. Saturday, 1st June, Uhuru Kenyatta made a landmark decision. And the decision is to retire the old 1,000 shilling note by October 1st, exactly 120 days from now.
Yeah.
And I think that move by Uhuru Kenyatta is bold. It's bold, it's sophisticated, because it is it's going to do something to the system. It's a paradigm shift. It's going to change. And I think one friend of ours who resides in Karura should learn from these moves.
All right, so I think, some clarity also has to be made. So we're retiring the 1,000 shilling note, and we're getting new generation of the 500, 200, 150, and so on.
Yes.
But I think what's really interesting is the amount of money that we're going to lose in circulation, right?
Yes.
So currently in circulation, we have 261.8 billion shillings in the economy.
Okay.
By taking away just the 1,000 shilling note, we're going to be removing 217 billion shillings from circulation. That is equivalent of 83%.
Of every amount of money.
Of every amount of
circulating,
money. Thereafter, the 500 shilling, 200, 150, and 20 shilling represent about 16 to 17% of the money in circulation.
Yes.
So what we'll be left with, effectively, 120 days from now is 20%.
Yes. It'll be about 44.2 billion.
Okay.
So if we compare that to another country that did something similar, in 2015, India did the same thing, but instead of retiring one denomination, they retired 2.
Yes.
Their 1,000 rupee and 500 rupee. And that was the same as removing 85%.
Whoa.
So we're only 2% short of what they did, and we're removing only 1 note. They did that with 2 notes.
However, in India, they did it. Theirs was 50 days.
Yes.
Ours is 120 days. But what we are saying is this. If you're going to do this within 120 days, and it is 217 billion shillings of the 1,000 bob note, it means that in those 120 days, we will be withdrawing 1.8 billion shillings every day and 226 million shillings every working hour.
Yeah, assuming the 8 hours in a working day.
Whoa. But again, it's not just taking out, it's also replacing. If at all it gets there.
Yeah, if at all it does.
So in India, how much did they
remove? Yeah, and I think India is such an interesting case study for what could go right or wrong in the next 120 days.
Correct.
So what happened is they banned, because remember they were withdrawing 1,500 notes.
Yes.
They banned 12.4 trillion rupees in that 50 days.
12.4.
So what they received back from the community, from the public, was 12.4 trillion.
Yes.
So they were less about it was 2 trillion, they were less. But however, what the government reissued to the public was 6 trillion.
That is half.
Half. So there was 14 trillion worth in the economy that they banned. They received 12 trillion from the people, but they only reissued 6 trillion.
Whoa.
I don't think we can say much more, but I think it begs the question, what could happen?
You know...
And I know something that could happen really soon, sooner than your 120 days, if I was to count it.
Yes.
The judiciary is one of our rogue, if I can call them rogue at times, and if I can call them balancing actors at other times. And 2 cases have been instituted, one by the East Africa Legislative Assembly, EALA, and another by our very litigious Umtata. Yes.
The one on the chain.
And always rely on Umtata to just take it to court. And one of the things they claim is that 1, the order is wrong and irregular.
Yes.
And 2, the notes themselves have a problem.
Yes.
They bear the likeness.
Yes.
In fact, he calls it the portrait of our former president, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Now, if the courts work in speed and take down this order, cut down the executive. You can say all you want about taking back the money. I'm still going to keep my brown colored 1,000 bob note. So you never know. They could stop that. They could use the constitution to stop that change over and say that because the constitution says in Article 231 that no coin of Kenya is meant to bear the portrait of any individual. This case will come down to what is a portrait.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But I think this thing will have huge ramifications.
Agreed.
Huge. But my fear is this. In India, they collected 12 trillion rupees.
Yes.
They reissued 6 trillion rupees.
Are we reducing the amount of money in circulation in our country?
You see, when Modi did this, he said he wants to get away people who do black market things.
Who don't pay taxes.
Or dishonest people. And the parallel economy of India, the one that was running alongside their legal economy, was 20%. Their illegal economy was worth 20%.
But here's the thing. When they do that review, India did its own internal review. That change over didn't change anything.
No, it did not. That's actually the scariest thing. After doing all of this, withdrawing 85% of the currency, it didn't make many changes to the illegal manufacturing, people holding illegal money, not paying taxes. So
I just change over what I had. I take my losses, and I keep what I need.
We'll find out in
what do we do about these
120
headlines?
days.
Let's pick one of them.
We toss the star because this is just
speculative.
Yes.
That's implying
it's a tabloid heading.
Yes. So toss that. Storm over CBK's dirty money order. I say it's topical.
I think it's topical, and the people who made it topical is politicians. I saw some ODM guys yesterday saying UHURU should rescind this.
Is this our winning headline?
If you want it.
I don't think it's a winning headline.
Toss it.
Yeah, I feel like we're feeling the same thing. All right, we move on.
We have no winning headline. And on to our next segment, the political pieces that we call cartoons in this country. Just like the headlines, we have a 3-part criteria that we use to break them down for you. We ask ourselves 3 questions. Is the cartoon humorous or is it dry? Is the cartoon... What is the next one?
This time I'm not imitating.
Satirical.
He's just come back from Kisumu. Don't ask him too many questions.
Or pessimistic. And finally, is it effective or just plain lazy? I won't comment on anything you have just said.
Did you suspect I was mimicking you?
All right, so we have today Iga. Ndula is not here today. Turam, what do we have?
It's nonsense.
You have to describe it.
It's caricature by Iga, and I don't know who's addressing. It's a priest, and he's addressing a congregation, and there's a big hand taking a wallet from his back pocket, and the hand is written Ruto.
Yeah. Well, this is supposed to be during the national prayers. Let's bow and close our eyes. Yeah, I think this is not a good cartoon. Yeah.
Neither effective, nor satirical, nor humorous, nor dry. It's horrible. Gado, I must say
I kind of like this one.
I'm a bit disappointed.
I laughed. Okay,
when you saw it, you laughed and I was watching you, yes.
All right.
Let me describe it. A caricature of a priest in 4 screens.
Okay.
First screen is holding his mouth and is being asked, what do you have to say about corruption? He's going to say nothing. Second screen, competency-based curriculum. And then he's
don't want to see it.
It's closed his eyes, I don't want to see it. Third screen, the continuous killing of women. doesn't
Don't
want to
hear about it.
See, on abortion, he has a megaphone. And he's ranting everything he needs to rant until the correspondent's mic is off.
Yeah, it's the monkey, speak no evil, see no evil, hear no evil. However, my first question was, have there been any conversations about abortion in the past weekend, maybe the weekend or the week?
Not to my knowledge. Not to my knowledge, not that I know of.
None that I've had.
So where the abortion conversation has been happening is in the US.
Oh yes, definitely.
So unfortunately, I'm disappointed in Gado for doing this. He's connecting a foreign story with with local topical issues and trying to create some kind of connection, which to me, no.
And this priest actually looks African.
He does, actually.
He is very African.
His teeth.
No.
Yeah,
I think we toss it. This is below his standards.
Yeah.
All right.
Finally, the star.
Ozone.
Let's see what your favorite has to say.
Guys, I have a thought. But before I say my thought, let me...
Is it a final thought?
Describe
No,
it.
it's
It's a pre-final thought.
No, it's a crazy thought.
Oh, okay.
It's a caricature of none other than Mike Movie Sonko, governor of Nairobi. And the context is how he dressed on Madaraka Day.
Yeah.
So he's a chief CIC of county Askaris. And that is this is the uniform.
I don't know why that doesn't feel like a compliment.
No, it does not.
Let me tell you, give it to this man. He knows how to capture the attention of people.
Oh, yes, he does.
And I think, and I've started entertaining the thought, what if this man just is or becomes our next president?
Whew.
What if?
Let's not
I'll
get
just take a big
there
swallow.
quite yet.
What if?
I'll take a big swallow
but
and leave your what if hanging
Do
there.
we like the cartoon, though?
I
That
like
is my
it.
question.
I like it.
Why
And
do you like it?
Because it's dog whistling to something else. The synchronization of politics in this country is baffling. Nobody would have thought that a bling-wearing man and the kind of ruckus he normally shows would ascend to such high levels.
Politics is perception. Samko is about symbols.
Yeah.
Politics and symbols go
He's
together.
very good with that.
Very good, and the one thing I can give him is that imagery. You see bling, you know it's Sonko.
Yes.
He has that big image down pat.
But we still have to ask the question, is this a winning cartoon? I would say no, because it is good because it's not bad. And that doesn't cut it for us, right?
It doesn't.
No,
I think we move on. What a Monday.
And there is
Everyone is a
no
loser.
winning cartoon either. Welcome back to
Thank you.
What is our final
Did you
thought?
hear me?
I heard you mimic me.
Who?
I saw you.
I announced the final thought.
Yeah, but you tried to put a voice that's not yours.
I had to usher people into the weekend, you know? I had to inspire them.
Okay, so book.
Yes, sir. All right.
And now, our final thought. It is a book inspired by a book entitled Dead Aid by Dambisa Moyo. And the caption here is Why Aid is Not Working and How There is Another Way for Africa. Look, I like this book.
Okay.
But
Not because it profiles solutions,
yeah.
but it gives the main thesis of the central thesis of this book is over $1 trillion in aid over 50 years in Africa, and Africa was much poorer than
Before they had received that money. Yeah.
And the intention of this aid was to alleviate poverty. However, we became poorer, more poorer. And you know you're not meant to say more poorer, but we became more poorer.
Yeah. So I like Dambisa Moyo. I think as an African woman, she represents something that's very aspirational.
Yeah.
So she was the head of economic research and strategy for Sub-Saharan Africa for Goldman Sachs for 8 years.
Yeah.
She was a consultant with the World Bank.
Yes.
She worked with the Chinese. I'm not sure where, but we're told that she did. She has a PhD in economics from Oxford, and she has a master's from Harvard. So she's a very accomplished, woman.
Yeah.
But I have many problems with this book. But first, let me elaborate more on what you've said.
Okay, yeah.
So this book calls out the aid industry.
Okay.
And it essentially says that the aid industry has failed to deliver sustainable economic growth and poverty reduction.
Okay.
We were promised all these things. This 11 trillion you mentioned was supposed to take Africa out of the depths of poverty. But she says it has not.
Yeah.
And so she takes us in this book through the history of aid. And she challenges the effectiveness of the Marshall Plan, the World Bank, the IMF, all these international financial institutions.
Yes.
And she says that over the course of 50 years, I think it was the 70s up until the early 2000s, the mid-2000s, aid increased the likelihood of corruption. It decreased domestic exports, so it ended up hurting our own internal economies and industries.
I agree.
And it increased the likelihood of conflict.
Yes.
So she makes a lot of very bold claims.
Oh, she does.
Yeah.
And she makes this very sharp contrast between countries that rejected the aid route and then prospered.
Yeah.
Whether or not they were democratic or not, there was some semblance of peace and stability, and they were then able to prosper. Versus the countries that you're saying who relied on aid and got trapped in this cycle you're calling of more aid, just requiring more and more aid to pull themselves out of the depths to which they had sunk. I don't think... Okay. And I'm going to address, first of all, I think, what is our elephant in the room. We all started as we began our analysis of this book. For this reason, we have a mental glitch when we're trying to read Dambisa Moyo's Dead Aid. Because it is not a classical book. We have to agree.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's
None
a
of us.
So the book was published
topical.
March 2009. So it's 10 years old.
It's 10 years old and it was topical to that time.
Yeah.
At that time, everyone was opening up to the horizons of China. China was calling countries into its own doors, opening up, getting animals and bringing them and lining the streets. The good, the bad, and the ugly of our presidents were being ushered in to be shown this is what China can offer you. So she wrote it, and I don't know if that work you were alluding to China, she mortgaged her morality and was now pitching for the Chinese. I don't know. Because this book was topical to that time. It made us say that China is our friend, therefore let's all turn to China. But here we sit 10 years later in where the Belt and Road Initiative is coming to a sharp close. We know that China is milking us dry. And I say we swapped one colonial master for another.
Let me tell you, I don't think Dambisa Moyo was necessarily wrong. Aid had conditionalities, political conditionalities in Africa, all right, from the 70s to the 80s to in the 90s. And I remember conditionalities were put on Kamuzu Banda, they were put on Kenneth Kaunda, they were put on Daniel Arap Moi. In fact, the man who survived the Muzungu onslaught using World Bank and IMF was none other than Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi.
Yeah.
But the reason why I like Dambisa Moyo is this, is she sort of began a narrative saying, for how long will we remain with this aid? And look, political conditionalities then was a lot about democracy. And I've argued this again and before. The more we talk about representation and inclusion, those models of the West from the global North, this is how we got trapped. And we got easy money and we put ourselves in a hole. What Dambisa Moyo is, her solution to this, as Chinese FDIs and that kind of thing, I support, because it is not about, we look for economic partners, not because of trust. The Chinese are going to come here and help us. We don't need any help. And someone I know and regard very highly says trust is for girls. It's all about interests. Right?
Yes, I think that's one thing we need to make clear.
It's all about
the solution that she proffers in this book, that she gives, they're twofold. The first one is move to China. Forget the West, go to China, because at that time, the assumption was China does not want to impose things on Africa. They have no conditionalities. They will not interfere with your democratic or autocrat, whatever, they don't care. The other thing she suggests is you go for FDI. But what we know now about FDI is that the money that they bring does not stay in the country. So Prof was saying this before. We can say this twofold. 2009, we are told aid is bad. FDI is good, China is good. 10 years later, 2019, aid is still bad. FDI is now bad, and China is now
also bad.
Look.
So I think we really need to look at this book through the lens of where are we right now? What have we learned?
It's full circle. I'm telling you, this book was at that principal moment where you're standing at the precipice and looking at untamed, untouched Africa and saying, wow.
And I think we have talked about this, causation and correlation. And the biggest critique of this book is that she fell into that trap we talked about last week.
And I agree with you.
She talked about how between 1970 and 1980, poverty in Africa rose from 11% to 66%.
Wow.
So what she's saying is that there was some kind of causation between poverty and aid
coming in.
However, that is correlation. She just saw the chart going up and she decided,
because they're both
this
going up
aid
at
is
the
what
same
gave
time.
us poverty.
And I will bring back a book that we did about trace architecture. If you remember the book Nudge, and she, I think, is a trace architect. She is taking us, and as we learned in that book, trace architects do not make and you make a decision for your own good, they make you make a decision for their own good. And that good is for the good of the Chinese. She has helped us curate our choices, much like the economic hitman did, and helped us to make decisions that in the end do not benefit us, because the projections she was making were 10 years out. And by that margin, they were false.
There's a beautiful thing about perspective. And look at it, 2008, biggest piece of infrastructure built was Thika Road, all right? 11 years later, you have SGR, you have Thika Roads, you have all manner of things. Now, my point is this, the Chinese did not just come to pick our stuff, we also wanted to access global markets. Now, if you want to access more global markets, you have a new port, you need a new railway, you need new roads. Are we not benefiting from that?
Just because you know how much the Shylock is squeezing you for doesn't make the deal fair.
If you take a picture of Kenya 2008 and 2019, two different countries.
Most definitely true, yeah. But I think at the end of the day, what we can ground this in is that Africa can do better. We have the resources, we have the capability, we're an intelligent, group of people.
Absolutely.
So
I agree.
This is winning headlines on a day when we are confused about this book and whether or not we still want to read it or it's relevant. But you make the decision.
Yeah.
We have no winning headline. We have no winning cartoon. Have a great week. See you tomorrow.